All right, we're back. Week 32, day 2. Let me go ahead and screen share with you so we can start on our wonderful poultry PowerPoint. Okay, so we left off with the different videos from Ramsey. So as far as like cooking your poultry, we talked about stuffing and all that kind of fun stuff. With roasting, you have longer cooking times. Depending on what you're trying to do with it. Like if you're stuffing it, it's going to take a lot longer. And there's just so many different ways to roast your chicken now. Between doing like rotisserie, there's one called beer can chicken where you can use a beer can or any other can or soda, whatever you want. Empty about a quarter of the way, and then you actually sit the bird on that and then cook it in your oven, or you could cook it on the grill, whatever you want to do. So when I said right here, longer cooking time, because you're cooking the whole bird and you need to cook everything, like the bones and everything have to be up to temperature because you don't want the meat on the thigh to be bloody. Trussing the bird. So it means tying the legs and wings to the bird's body, cooks more evenly, stays moister. So if you look at this, when you cook a chicken and you don't have it trussed, which means you tie these tight, it's a pretty simple procedure where you take a string like butcher's twine and you wrap it around the front of the bird, pull the wings in close, and then tie the legs tight so they kind of shrink in. Instead of having the bird that's got all these different appendages laying outward, and they're going to cook at different temperatures, especially those wings. This pulls everything together more of like a football shape. So it cooks a lot more even, and things don't get overcooked. All right. Mainly it's the breast meat you want to make sure it doesn't get overcooked, because the wings will actually be pretty good, even if they're like overdone, because it's just like an extra cooked wing. And it's, they have a lot of fat, a lot of bone. For like the pound for pound, the little piece of muscle that you get in there, it's completely surrounded by skin, which has a lot of fat in it. And they won't dry out, but the chicken breast will. So you want to pack those wings in real close. Before roasting, you could season stuff, marinate, or bard it. You saw how they seasoned it in the video previously, where you open up the cage, the cavity of it, and you season the inside, because that's going to be cooked too. And as far as the outside goes, one of the key things that I've learned over the years of cooking is we used to get whole chickens in. We would truss them and then salt them. So we'd take them out of the liquid. Do you want them out of whatever package it comes in? Put them on a tray with paper towels and salt it. Salt the bird, the whole outside of it, heavy, heavy, heavy salt. You think it's going to make it salty, but what it does, it actually sucks the moisture off the skin and dries it out. And you just leave it in the fridge, open air. And this will help dry out the skin of the bird. Then what you can do is take some sort of fat of some sort. We used to use butter. We let it get room temperature. You could season it, so you could whip in salt, pepper, herbs, whatever you want. And then you tuck it underneath the skin, or you go over the whole top of the bird, okay? And what that does, sorry, pardon me, excuse me, I burped. Once that hits the high heat, the oil basically is I don't know how to say it. It'll cook. It's almost like oven frying. So the oil will melt really fast and start to heat up really, really quick in a very hot oven. And then it'll start to crisp up that skin really fast. Whereas if you had just dry skin with the oven, it'll take a lot longer, but you're attracting that heat and conducting heat in a faster manner by having fat on the actual skin. It'll crisp it up and kind of just lock it. If you have this hard shell of skin, all the juice stays inside there. But if you slow cook something and it's wet, the moisture will evaporate out of the bird, okay, or any piece of meat. It'll just evaporate out of it, where you want to keep that locked in so it stays moving rapidly in there. When you go to rest this, it's going to slow down that rapid movement inside the meat. And then once you cut into it, it's going to stay juicy. Okay. A lot of people don't understand that, where they just like, oh, I'll cook something in liquid and it's dry. It's like, how does that happen? It's because you didn't do it right. Barding is what we did last week. We wrapped it in bacon to hold in the juice. Place on elevated rack, roasting pan, roast uncovered. Depending on how you're wanting to do it. The one in the video, he basically kind of braised that first. not even braised it. He just kind of slow cooked it in liquid and then uncovered it and finished it on high, with the heat crisping up the outside. Typically what you want to do, like this says elevated rack, you put your rack in, and then they have this like wire screen that'll sit on top of, so the bird's not touching the actual pan. That way the juices drip down. And what you can do there is save that and make your pan sauce later. But there's many ways to do it. Just look online. There's so many different recipes of stuff. Dressing or stuffing, mixture of breadcrumbs, herbs. There was one, he did beans. You could put anything you want in here. Cornbread is delicious. We've done that at work before. We just make cornbread, crumble it up after it's baked, of course. Crumble it up, add sausage, and that's the dressing. Stuff it in the bird's cavity or bake separately. Stuff small birds. Cook. The stuffing has to be 165. That's why they typically don't want you to try to do this if you don't do it all the time. Making this and stuffing it in hot, I think, is key. So I thought that was a really good idea. Don't put cold stuffing in a cold bird and try to get it up to temperature, because your meat will get cooked, way overcooked. Okay, cutting bird into whole pieces. Square up the bird, place on back. Oh, this is just how I showed you guys how to do it. Check it for any deformities. Start with the leg and thigh. Cut through, this is the oyster muscle right here. Dislocate the thigh bone from the hip socket, and then cut right through that. Repeat on both sides. What's going on here? Oh yeah, and then the wings. To figure out the leg and thigh, what you want to do is grab it by the bottom right here and pull that skin as tight as you possibly can. Once you pull that skin tight, at the top of the leg where the thigh meets, you'll see this line of fat, literally about 3/4 of an inch over. So if you put your pinky there on the thigh side, that line is basically where the joint is, and you can cut right through that. If you don't hit the joint, you're going to hit the actual bone, and you're not going to be able to cut through it. Separate the wing and the thigh, or the wing and the breast, and this is what you'll end up: 2 wings, breast, legs, thighs, and carcass. As far as stuffing goes, like it said, mix your ingredients, stuff raw bird close to roasting time. This stuffing expands during the cooking. I thoroughly suggest the idea of stuffing this hot. It sounds horrible for your hands. Just double glove. Don't put cold stuffing in there, because it's going to way overcook. Secure it, and then the internal temperature has to be 165. So that's not the chicken breast. You need to get in the very center of that stuffing and see how, and then check the temperature. One thing you can do is cook this as is, take the stuffing out, and then rebake just the stuffing and hold the chicken hot. That's one idea, but you just want to make sure that stuffing's cooked all the way. Trussing a chicken. Oh, here's just some pictures of it. So lay it on its back, wings out like this. You'll see the string goes underneath the breast. You go tie underneath the wing, tie them tight. Back across. I go double loops around the legs like that, pull them tight, and then pull it underneath the breast, like the bottom tips of the breast, so it stays nice and tight in there. And that'll actually hold in the stuffing too. Okay, so as far as different types of cooking methods, you guys have seen several here. This is what we have. What we have is a normal stove. So we don't have a char grill. We don't have deep fryers. We have a broiler. We're going to do broiling this week with this salmon, so you guys can see how that works. So we're going to do the broiled salmon, and then we're going to do the orzo in a dish. So, but there's several different things we can't do because we just don't have the equipment for it. But some of the ways to do it, we could do steep sauteing, stir fry. We can do pan frying. We can't do deep frying. But as far as deep frying goes, this is, breaded or batter coated, boiled in hot fat or oil. There's many different deep fried recipes globally, and this one has like some different ones. So this is 21 popular fried chicken dishes from around the world. It's just, if you think about it, it's a very easy, fast way to cook things, especially like street food, or, I don't know. It's just, I've seen so many ways where they'll have just a giant wok or a big kettle with oil and they'll put in seasonings in the oil. They'll put chilies in there. They'll put all kinds of stuff to make a flavored oil. And you can just take whatever meat you have in uniform size chunks, fry it, and then serve it. You know what I mean? And it's a good way to refry. So like when we did carnitas at the beginning of the year, we cooked the pork, roasted it into big chunks, stored it cold. And then when we're ready to serve it, you just submerge the giant chunks in the fryer and then, send them out. It's an easy way to reheat, and especially restaurant style, it's a way to serve fast. A lot of people, I've seen people make fried chicken where they'll pre-cook the chicken a little bit, like almost poach it with the buttermilk or poach it in some sort of liquid, cool it down, and then flash fry it so it doesn't take nearly as long. It's a little cheating way, but it works. So we're going to watch this, and then the second video I have is over mole. So watch that in a second.
There's nothing quite like sinking your teeth into crispy, crunchy chicken, which might be why chicken dunked into hot oil until it's golden brown is a go-to comfort food across the planet. From hot chicken in Nashville, Tennessee to Senegal's Poulet Yassa, we're taking a look at fried chicken around the world. Chicken lollipops serve as the perfect hors d'oeuvre. A chicken drumlet is Frenched, allowing the bone to serve as a little handle before it's marinated in yogurt blended with spices like garam masala, which incorporates mace, coriander seeds, cumin seeds, and cardamom. Then the chicken is fried in earthy palm oil. To make pahani V, a chicken breast is sliced to look like the letter V in homage to the Croatian city from which it hails, Virovitica. The breaded, then fried chicken is served with sour cream blended with grated horseradish for a punch of flavor. Bright red and packed with chili peppers, Chongqing chicken starts with diced bits of chicken that are wok fried twice to ensure a crunchy pop with each bite. The dish is packed with stir-fried Szechuan peppercorns, which are known for their tingly, numbing sensation, and combined with aromatics like ginger, green onion, and dried chilies for a bite that will literally set your mouth ablaze. Poulet Yassa takes more than a day to prepare, but this dish is well worth it. Chicken is marinated for up to 24 hours in peanut oil, lemon juice, and cider vinegar, along with a mountain of onions, some mustard, and other spices. This tangy, spicy chicken is served over a bed of white rice for a hearty meal. Semita poblana is a hearty fried chicken torta. Thin chicken cutlets are battered, fried, chopped up, and are topped with creamy avocado, stringy Oaxaca cheese, chipotle peppers, fresh oregano or papala. Add in some bean spread and sandwich it between a sesame seed bun. Ranked one of the top takeaways among the Brits, chicken parmo starts with breaded, then fried chicken that's smothered with a rich and creamy bechamel, then topped with cheese and popped in the oven for a cheesy, melty bite. It's hard to imagine a world before popcorn chicken was invented in Taiwan in the late 70s. Cutting the chicken into bite-sized pieces ensures every single bite is crisp yet tender, and the soy sauce, ginger, and Chinese five spice incorporated into the tempura batter adds a fresh, aromatic pop of flavor. Dipped in buttermilk, then dredged in flour for crispy skin, hot fried chicken gets its unique spice after it's fried, when it's dipped into oil blended with cayenne and habanero, then dusted with more spicy seasoning to light your taste buds on fire. Wiener Bacchanal dates back to the 18th century when it was served to the Austrian elites, but these days the chicken strips are served as the perfect Oktoberfest snack. Instead of flour, Wiener Bacchanal uses breadcrumbs for an audibly crunchier bite, and is served with parsley and a squeeze of lemon for a refreshing finish. Katsu refers to the way meat is prepared, covered in panko and deep fried. Tori katsu starts with butterfried chicken thighs that, once fried, are placed between two fluffy slices of Japanese milk bread, crust off, that are lightly spread with Kewpie mayo. Indonesians are likely to argue over whose mom makes the best sayap ayam goreng. Sayap means wings, which are marinated in a blend of flavorful aromatics like tamarind, garlic, turmeric, lemongrass, and shallots, then fried in fragrant coconut oil. Because there's no breading, the skin stays extra crackly. Chicken Kiev starts with a chicken breast that's pounded flat, then rolled and stuffed with garlic and herb compound butter, followed by a generous coating of breadcrumbs and a dip in the fryer. The finished dish oozes butter and herbs onto the plate when cut open. Pollo frito is so popular in the DR, it's also become a staple of many fast food chains. The chicken is marinated in a brine of bay leaves, lemon, oregano, parsley, and garlic, then lightly dusted in flour and deep fried. It's served with a squeeze of fresh lime and a side of fried plantains. Jamaican food is known for its spice and flavor, and Jamaican fried chicken is no exception. Butchered whole chickens are marinated in a mix of thyme, allspice, Scotch bonnets, and nutmeg for an herbaceous flavor that packs serious heat. The chicken can be breaded before frying, depending on preference, but whichever way you try it, you're in for a treat. Harchongai are breaded chicken wings with a tangy flavor and sharp aroma. The batter incorporates flour, cornstarch, and baking soda to ensure a fluffier coating, then adds ingredients like pungent, savory shrimp paste, briny oyster sauce, sweet plum wine, and sesame oil to create a batter that will tingle all your taste buds from top to bottom. Frango pasarin are chicken wings, but it's their flavor that makes them stand out from the pack. Marinated in bright tropical flavors like lime, parsley, and sweet paprika, the chicken is breaded in both flour and cornmeal for an extra layer of crunch. In Italy, to Milanese is to take a thin cut of meat, dredge it through eggs, then breadcrumbs, and fry it until crispy on all sides. Peppered chicken is a go-to party snack in Nigeria. Drumettes are marinated in atadindin, a sauce full of traditional herbs and spices like thyme, ginger, and Scotch bonnets, along with stewed tomatoes for a sweet and spicy sauce. The chicken is fried until crispy, then served with even more of that spicy marinade. The defining characteristic of Korean fried chicken is the ultra crispy skin resulting from not one, but 2 trips to the fryer. Yangnyeom literally means seasoned in Korean, and boy, is this chicken flavorful. The glaze uses garlic, ginger, gochujang, and honey to create the perfect sticky, sweet, and spicy combination. Chicharron refers to crunchy fried pork rinds, so you know chicharrones de pollo are extra crispy. A whole bird is chopped into bite-sized pieces, skin on, before it's marinated and tossed in corn flour. Chicken schnitzel is one of the favorites among Austrians. The extra crispy yet airy crust comes from a blend of corn flour and breadcrumbs that's slightly seasoned with salt and pepper. So which kind of fried chicken do you want to try? Are there any we missed? Let us know in the comments below.
All right, so you see how many different types there are of fried chicken. But it's just an easy, I don't know, it's not hard to make. And there's so many different, like I think every country probably has some sort of fried chicken recipe, mainly because chickens are easy to raise, they're cheap, they eat bugs and all kinds of stuff. So it's a very, and they're from start to finish, from hatch to cook, you know, chickens, you got like 2 months at the most, 6 weeks. So you can raise them. It's not like a cow. You have to let it raise, you know, feed it, which eats tons of food for, you know, a year and a half. Like it costs a lot to have cows, whereas chickens, not so much. I think everybody has chickens now. There's chickens all over the city. So let's keep moving on. All right, so moist heat cooking methods. You can steam chicken. I don't know anyone who steams a chicken. You could simmer your chicken. This is what I would do if I was making like chicken salad. Almost poach it. Highly flavorful liquid. Don't boil it. For some reason, when you boil meat, it literally takes all the flavor out of it. If you simmer it where it's just at a steady temperature, like with the, I mean, sous vide is different because it doesn't actually contact the water, but when it has a steady temperature, like one of my favorite soups that one of my buddies makes is just caldo, which is, he takes a whole chicken, so I think cilantro, garlic, a little lemon, onions, and he just slowly cooks the chicken in that, and then it just falls apart, and then you just eat it with like tortillas, like warmed up tortillas and radish. You know, it's a simple thing, but the flavor of it is really good because it's just slowly cooked. It's not rapidly boiled. Or if you roast or grill the chicken first and then throw it in a pot with liquid and finish cooking it on low heat. Crock pot chicken, kind of the same thing. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of crock pot chicken just because it's like, it's boiled to mush. Like I've seen people cook crock pot chicken till the bones are mushy and you don't know what to eat. Like they're like, oh, this is tender. I'm like, well, you're eating the bone. Yeah, so it's kind of odd. So this lady does a really good videos on different types of Mexican cuisine. I put one on there before of, I don't even remember what it was, but she had the history of it with it. God, what was that? I'll have to think of it. But this one's over stewing and braising. So this is when you make something with a very exceptional sauce. So mole poblano is one of the like Mexican sauce, chicken mole. This goes into like a traditional Mexican food. I love mole. I've had turkey mole, like some of my old coworkers would make turkey mole for Thanksgiving and bring it in, and it was really, really good. It's a very complex dish to make. So let's watch this and show you.
Mole is sacred to a huge group of people in Mexico. It's really hard to put parameters around Mexican food. And I think mole is a great example of if you just kind of go with the flow and you have your palette of ingredients, it can really go all sorts of places. Hi, my name is Claudette Zepeda. I fancy myself a little bit of a cultural anthropologist of Mexican cuisine. Today, we're gonna work on mole. You'll see some recipes that have 60 ingredients. I really don't understand why people are super proud of having really long, tiring recipes. Mole can be made in a household within 20, 30 minutes if you keep it simple and you focus on the flavor and not the complexity of it. It stops being a mole when you don't have seeds and chilies and spices. We have chile pasilla, chile ancho, and chile guajillo. Mole is one of those recipes that also some people say that it came from the Spanish, but in fact, it is a pre-Columbian sauce. There's really no recipe if you follow some guidelines of the ingredient start. What did Mexico have? We had tomatoes, pumpkin seeds, corn, avocado leaves, we had herbs, spices, but initially mole, herbs, chili, pumpkin, tomato. Right here, perfectly adequate mole, a sauce, a starter. And then after that, you can kind of riff all over the place. We're gonna toast sesame seeds and the chili seeds. One of my favorite moles is chichilo negro or recado negro from the Yucatan. They literally put a box outside in the middle of the jungle and torch it. They light it on fire. It's this giant metal box. All the ingredients get basically incinerated right before it turns to gray ash. And they stop it and they blend that with sour orange, vinegars. And it is one of the coolest pre-Hispanic Mayan chili pastes that there is in our cuisine. It's pretty cool. You can't do it indoors because it will be like pepper spray bomb in your house. So that has toasted. Add the spices. You have cloves, peppercorns, oregano, star anise, thyme, and cinnamon. Drop a few chilies and my oil. And from here, we're gonna go ahead and fry up raisins, almonds, pumpkin seeds, and peanuts. From its inception to where it is now and to the different regions, just in Oaxaca to Puebla, I've never had the same mole taste the same. I've had one woman make a chichilo that tastes beautiful with all these different notes. I've had another woman make a chichilo, the same mole, and have it taste drastically different. You know, there's a little joke that's like, how much do you add? Well, until the ancestors whisper in your ear, yeah, mija. This is called a Spanish peanut or a red skin peanut in most stores. This is the only peanut we use in Mexico. The original Chinese peanut is what we grow all over Mexico, all in Oaxaca specifically, in the coast. There's fields and fields of peanuts growing. This oil is going to be more flavorful as I add every single ingredient because it's absorbing the previous ingredients' flavors. I always try to figure out what our food would have been like without different ethnicities coming through our country, the different migration periods, the slave trade, colonialization, all that stuff. If we were to make a salsa, take the onions and garlic out, it is bland. Our food was enhanced so much by the addition of these ingredients that landed on our soil. We really made the best of it. Avocado leaves, bay leaves also get toasted. Imagine this is like a Lego set and this piece doesn't fit with this piece. It's okay. There's more than one way to get to the end result of a mole. Fry up the bread before I do the tomatoes last. Last but not least, you just want to fry the tomatoes. You're not going to obviously get a color like the chilies. You just want to fry them until they get a little soft. One of my favorite moles is called chintexle. They use dried shrimp heads and dried chilies with aromatics, onions, garlic, and it is almost identical to a Chinese XO sauce. So it teaches us that there's not one thing that's unique. From region to region in Oaxaca and Puebla, someone's born, there's a mole. Someone dies, there's a mole. It's cool to taste them all and see like their interpretation of them. In European families, you have your crest with your last name. For the moles and families, it's the same thing. Every family has their mole, and it's incredibly personal. and I'll teach it to my daughter, and then she'll change it when she gets to her kids, and that's again how you move cuisines forward. Everything's fried up, toasted, ready to go. You first want to start with making sure you grind all of your spices. And the good thing about mole is it's something that can kind of outlive you. You can make a mole base and continue to feed it. And the more you feed it, the more flavor, the more complexity that develops. And then you have, what I call a perpetual mole, a mother mole that you can leave in your inheritance to your family. So we're gonna go ahead and pour this into a fine mesh strainer. That is that. Once it's strained, it's kind of looks like marble. We're gonna just cook this down. So here we're gonna use Oaxacan chocolate. So we know mole was before the conquest. We know mole was initially a sauce that was being made with indigenous cultures and the Aztecs, Zapotecs, the Olmecs. As religious kind of crusades went through Mexico, they brought gifts, if you would, the ingredients, the addition of onions, garlic, chocolate. Chocolate was obviously being consumed in Mexico, but it was not being consumed sweet. It evolved by mere necessity. What they had available and what they could consume regularly. As humans evolve, so does our food. So I'm gonna add a bit of salt. You have your silky mole that has gotten a little bit deeper in color through time and patience. It goes right now from like this terracotta red to completely brown to almost black just through time. I'm just gonna show one really easy way to eat mole. So here, we're gonna just chef it up with tortilla. Hold this right in the middle. Yeah, you don't need much. Simple things are meant to stay simple. But it's just a sauce on a tortilla. So there's like beauty in both, the complexity of it and the simplicity of the end result. I want this to be something that people stop being afraid of, and the folklore that it has to be 100 ingredients. I don't subscribe to that.
Oh, that's the one, pozole. That's where that one came from. So I like how she said that. Like, if you've never had mole before, I know she said it's not that, or it's a simple thing. There are so many steps to making mole. I mean, you can go to the store and buy a jar of mole sauce, but what she did there, like, is very complex. Like, what you have to do between frying everything to a certain temperature, grinding it, pressing it through. I mean, there's a lot of steps to it. So people are, like she said, are very proud. It's like Italian people with their tomato sauce. It's like, this family's tomato sauce. Like everybody makes it different. Same thing with mole. And I've had some that are really, really good. And it's just basic. Like they'll just stew a chicken or roast a chicken and put the mole on it and like braise it a little bit with the mole on there. It's just a whole different, more complex flavor to what you're doing. So that's where that one comes in. So let's keep going. Okay. So finally, cooking poultry. This is just several different ways to cook it. I mean, I could go over these all day long, but I don't know. Like this says duck, briar, fryer, dry roast, heat. I think I've had duck several ways. And some of the best ways are you sear them. Like duck breast, you don't cook that all the way through. It's just, you sear it. It's got a lot of fat in it. It's dark meat. And you serve it medium. Like you don't cook duck breast all the way through, but the legs and thighs are so, I don't know, you have to cook those till they fall apart. You have to braise those, or confit them, where you cook them in oil until they fall apart. You can't just eat them. You can't deep fry. I mean, you can deep fry duck wings, but it's a bird that flies. So there's a lot more muscle use there than there would be with a non-flying bird. Goose, same thing, dry heat roast, combination braise, do it. Turkey, so many different ways. My favorite turkey I've ever made before in my life was I got a turkey breast as a present from the hotel I was working at. They gave everybody a turkey breast bra. And I took the whole thing, submerged it in olive oil, and threw a bunch of garlic herbs and seasonings in the olive oil and just cooked it for like 3.5 hours on low heat. And it, well, like 300 something. But anyway, it just like, I confit it. Like it was just the juiciest turkey, and it was just absorbed all the olive oil and spices and stuff. But it just depends on how you cook the bird. So that's the end of that one. That's the end of poultry. But like I said, there's thousands of ways to cook it. There's so many things at your fingertips now. I know not many younger people look at like recipe books anymore. You guys look at everything on your phone. But the good thing is with Tasty and all these other websites, you can see there's more visualization of how to do these things. So I think it's enticing a lot of you guys to cook more because it's so easy to watch somebody else make it instead of just reading a recipe. Back in my day, we had to read a recipe. And you didn't get that visualization until you made it. So that's why it was easier to make mistakes, because there wasn't somebody showing you how to do it. It just said, oh, braise this. And you had to figure it out. But the figuring it out part, what makes you a good cook. But if somebody shows you every single step, you don't know how to fix it if you break it. So anywho, that is our lesson for this week. We'll continue on next week with probably salads and dips.